why would the ego want to do that? I mean, I just trying to reconcile that part. Because I'm not saying no, but I'm just wondering why does the ego want to sabotage itself?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question that comes up a lot. I like to answer it in two parts. The first part is very unsatisfying to an ego. And then I'll answer it in more thorough. Bring me an ego, and then we will talk about it. That's a very direct way of saying nobody's ever found an ego, nobody's ever isolated an ego. No physicist, no psychologist, no neuroscientist has ever found one of these elusive egos. So until somebody brings us one so that we can analyze it, we really have nothing to talk about. It's an illusion. It's a very attractive illusion. It sure does seem like we have it. We can't agree to that. There's an apparent entity in my head and body that's doing this. That does seem to be real. But when you analyze it, it can't be found. It's an illusion. It's just like every night when we go out and we watch the sunset. We watch the sun move down the horizon until it disappears. That's an illusion. The sun does not move. It's the Earth's rotation that gives the illusion that the sun is moving and setting. So we don't deny the illusion of the sun setting, but it's not until we recognize the underlying reality of the illusion, which is the Earth's rotation, do things start to really change. Because all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm on this huge ball that's rotating. So the moment you see through the illusion, you can see to its underlying nature. And that's what we do here in non-duality. We see through the illusion of the ego into the ego's underlying reality, which is none other than yourself. So why does the ego do this? It would be the more appropriate question is, why does the self do this to itself? Because there is no ego. There's only self. And that gets into because self is all-knowing and omnipresent, the only way to experience itself in a finite form, a physical finite form of itself, is that it has to somehow forget its all-knowingness. Because if it didn't have a mechanism to forget its all-knowingness, it would already know the outcome of everything. And so it wouldn't make an attempt. We wouldn't be here right now. So what it does is it forgets itself to see itself in a physical form. And when it forgets itself, it sacrifices itself to do that. It loses touch with itself. It never totally loses touch with itself, because even the forgetting is itself. The forgetfulness, the ignorance that you might hear Advaita teachers say, that ignorance is also itself. The underlying reality of ignorance is nothing other than self. So it always has a tether home to itself. But for it to see its own glory in in the manifestation that we're experiencing right now. And to have the manifestation create an apparent life of its own through an ego, because an ego believes it's doing this life in this world somehow. It's in the apparent ego-ness that anything is possible in this in the manifestation as well. So it collapses through us, the infinite comes through, and this is like a prism. The prism converts the infinite into apparent finiteness, and in that, the infinite forgets itself, and it's in that forgetting that this apparent ego can now run around this apparent world and create things in its apparent reality. And it has the ability to do good and bad things because it is dualistic. So you could say self sacrifices itself to see the glory of itself. It forgets itself, and in that forgetting there's some sacrifice to see the glory of itself in a three-dimensional physical realm. But all along, everything that I just said, the forgetting, the ego, the ignorance, the sacrifice, the three-dimensional world, all has the underlying reality of self. Because there's only one. There's only one substance. The substance of self.